So Tallahassee, Florida State, Mike Norvell has been doing a lot of shuffling with his staff. 2-win season was not great, to say the least, coming off of the previous year with all that turnover. But they made a really interesting hire today with Tim Harris Jr. as wide receiver coach, again, as Mike Norvell continues to reshape his staff there in Tallahassee. And Tim Harris Jr., a guy who you and I are very familiar with, came up in the high school coaching ranks here in Miami at Booker T, the son of legendary high school coach Ice Harris, who also coached at Miami back in the day, was an All-American, a 4-time All-American track runner at the University of Miami in the 800-meter. So a guy who has a lot of cachet down here in South Florida. Coached at FIU for 6 years, was at Miami as running backs coach, UCF before that, and then went back to UCF after, to take the offensive coordinator job. But this is a hire, to me, it's interesting for a couple reasons if you're Florida State, D. One, so much of what we've heard around FSU and the issues this year and recruiting-wise, because that's what's been the head-scratcher even after that really good year they had, is that the staff is just not a recruiting staff. They don't have the energy for it. And in today's era, you need to be hitting the road, hitting the ground and running 24/7, 365, nonstop. Coach Tim Harris Jr. is going to do that. He's one of the best in the country. Great relationships guy, all that. The other way I'm looking at it is a lot of the concerns from Florida State's side of things in terms of the development up there was that, look, they brought in a lot of highly rated guys at the receiver position that have not panned out. They have not been developed. Coach Harris is a guy who worked with the receivers last year at UCF on top of calling the plays, but was really a running backs coach for the majority of his college coaching career there. So big fan of his. We heard nothing but good things about him when he was down here at Miami. But that's the only thing I'm looking at from that point of view is you're getting a great recruiter and have heard great things about him as a coach, but this isn't the position that we've necessarily been accustomed to him coaching.
Yeah, and I think with Florida State, you're looking for an identity as a recruiting program, kind of all over the place with Mike Norvell. This is a clear statement that they want to be in South Florida. They want to put their flag up. South Florida has been down lately, but always going to produce a lot of players. You look at their last recruiting class. To me, South Florida is probably the most prominent region on the list. They did do well in Georgia, but you look at Gregory Xavier Thomas, defensive back, big corner that we saw from American Heritage. You look at Daryl Desir and Mandrell Desir, two guys I really like, the pass rushing twins from Norland. Central casting edge rushers from Norland. And then you have Max Redmond, smaller school, Cardinal Newman, but a guy with a lot of athletic ability. So they've been in South Florida. When you get a guy like Tim Harris Jr., who is in the University of Miami Hall of Fame as a runner, who has tremendous ties in the community, starting with Booker T. Washington, but not just there, and is just a smart, well-respected guy, you can make a name here in South Florida. Getting players that maybe are undervalued, maybe you've identified before others, and you can get on and build that relationship quick. And when you look at the All-ACC first team on offense, even with South Florida down, that All-ACC offensive team was heavily South Florida, whether it was Corey Brooks, who went to Booker T, the alma mater of Tim Harris Jr. for Louisville, one of the best receivers in the country. Xavier Restrepo, Desmond Reed, who went to Pitt, who was a guy that went to Western Carolina out of Miramar, an underrated player, ended up transferring to Pitt. They got an all-purpose monster with Desmond Reed, somebody who would have done a hell of a job for Florida State if they would have been up on that one. A lot of players locally that can help the Florida State Seminoles get that next level. I think Tim Harris Jr. fits right in there.
And you see this tweet here from Ira Schofel saying having Pat Surtain, Tim Harris Jr., and Evan Cooper on the same staff should be fun for South Florida's recruiting. Pat Surtain, when he made the transition from American Heritage, it's been a seamless transition for him. He's done a great job up there already. Evan Cooper, a guy who was a former staffer at Miami in the recruiting department. He's from South Florida. I believe he went to Miami Palmetto, then followed Matt Rule around for a while, was actually with the Panthers as well as their cornerbacks coach. So he's going to be their safeties coach. A lot of South Florida ties. And again, like you said, they're trying to make an identity because they have not been as strong down here as they would have liked. I think Mario Cristobal is a reason for that. He's made his own determination that they're going to put a fence around here, but I think you'll see them get some guys in this next cycle because of this move.
And look, it's not just Mario. I mean, look at Louisville. We mentioned Ja'Cory Brooks, Isaac Brown from Homestead, Florida, going to Louisville, first team or second team, easily could have been first team all ACC as a true freshman running back for Louisville. You have Brashard Smith, who was a transfer from Miami, goes to SMU. Could FSU have gotten in there? Oronde Gadsden from American Heritage, not recruited by FSU, goes to Syracuse. He's first team all league. There are a lot of guys down here, and not only here. I mean, he's going to recruit all over the country, but I think specifically down here, there are guys that can help FSU certainly improve over the record this year and improve in general if you identify them. And I think that's what he's going to do, is have much more of a finger on the pulse of this region that continues to produce talent for other ACC schools that could easily be talent helping FSU win games.